Hello, today we have the opportunity to interview the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Browne, following the impact of Hurricane Irma on Barbuda, which completely destroyed the infrastructure of the island. Hello, Prime Minister.
Muchas gracias.
What's the situation on the ground in Barbuda, and how are Barbudans adjusting to life here in Antigua?
First of all, let me start by commending President Maduro and the government and people of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. I have to admit that it is their timely intervention that would have helped to put us in the position that we're in today in terms of the response to Hurricane Irma. Hurricane Irma, which would have been the strongest hurricane to have stormed through the Caribbean. As you know, Irma totally devastated Barbuda. Barbuda today is what could be considered as a mangled wreck. It is uninhabitable. As a consequence, we had to evacuate all of the Barbudans to Antigua. We had to absorb approximately 2,000 residents and citizens of Barbuda. And if it wasn't for the availability of a military aircraft from Venezuela, we would not have been able to evacuate the Barbudan people before Jose would have passed. Luckily for us, Jose did not bring with it hurricane winds or hurricane conditions. But in any event, it is really the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela contribution of those two military aircrafts that would have helped us to effectively evacuate the people of Barbuda. Today, Barbuda is literally uninhabited, only a few soldiers securing the island. The Barbudans are here. Some are integrated in homes within the various Antiguan homes here, and others are actually shelters. My understanding is that they are pretty comfortable, even though anxious to get back to their own homes. But the recovery effort will take some time because, first of all, we have to deal with the health issues, we have to clean the rubble, we have to restore running water and electricity. So it may be several weeks before the Barbudans are able to return to Barbuda to resume their lives. And in any event, it will take perhaps years in order to recover the $200 million in damages. To raise the funds in the first instance will be a major challenge, and it will take a significant amount of time in order to rebuild Barbuda.
You were saying that Hurricane Irma points to the impact of climate change.
Absolutely, and I want to make it abundantly clear that the science is obvious. There's no maybe about the science surrounding climate change. Now, in the case of Antigua and Barbuda, we are not polluters, but at the same time, we have to face the consequences of climate change. And you can see the real evidence that these storms are getting more powerful, they're increasing in frequency. In fact, it's the first time in recorded history that we would have had two powerful storms in Irma and Jose falling within a 48-hour period. Now, if that is not substantive evidence to confirm that climate change is real, then tell me what is. Now, the large polluters in the world, they have to take some level of responsibility. And that is why, as small island states, we continue to advocate for countries to assist us to build our climate resilience, because their profligacy in the use of fossil fuel is actually affecting us here in the Caribbean and in other regions, including the Pacific, in which we have a number of small islands, so that they have to understand that they have to shoulder part of the responsibility. You can't have a situation in which, they continue their profligacy with the use of fossil fuels, and then we have to shoulder the responsibility of raising hundreds of millions of dollars or even billions of dollars to consistently repair our damaged infrastructure. First of all, we don't have the financial resources. And in the case of Antigua and Barbuda, the OECD countries, they have graduated us. So they're making the case that we're not eligible for concessional loans, that we are not eligible for grant aid. So if we're excluded from those mechanisms, how are we going to rebuild? It means that we have no choice but to borrow at interest rates that are extremely high, commercial interest rates. And all that does is to increase our interest obligation, to increase our debt overhang, and make us even more vulnerable. So it's a vicious cycle that needs to be addressed. And I just hope that all leaders, all countries will take responsibility and to respect the Paris Climate Accord and to stick to their commitments and to make these resources available to countries who desperately require that support in order to become climate resilient.
Which other countries have offered support to Barbuda?
Well, I had a discussion today, an extensive discussion with the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, and from all indication, Canada will assist. In fact, they now have a team that, if they have not arrived, they are just about to arrive at about 1:30 p.m. and they will be doing an assessment as to the extent of the damage. And Prime Minister Trudeau has assured me that Canada will stand by Antigua and Barbuda. Venezuela has stood with us through thick and thin for many years, and Venezuela has gone above and beyond the call of duty. In fact, President Maduro was the first leader to have called me to express solidarity, and would have responded by sending relief supplies and two of his military planes to assist us. There are several leaders in Latin America who would have assisted us as well, or at least made pledges. We have had some level of support from President Medina, Chile, and we're hoping too that other countries within the hemisphere, Brazil, Bolivia, all of the countries in South America, that they will also assist, because this is a human tragedy never seen before, in which an entire island was wiped out. So it's not that we're coming with a begging bowl with cap in hand. This is a necessity in which we're asking for all countries in this hemisphere, all of our friends within the region. My dear friend Daniel Ortega, I hope that his country will make a contribution, and Bolivia, Peru, all of the countries within the region, because at the end of the day we live in the same hemisphere, and we're all part of this Latin American and Caribbean integration movement, and I think we ought to show full commitment, and whenever we have these disasters, that we stand with each other. So again, I make an appeal for the leaders of all of these countries to assist in whatever way they can, and that would be really greatly appreciated as we seek to raise resources to rebuild Barbuda. It has been estimated that the Barbuda rebuilding program will cost hundreds of millions of dollars, which is clearly beyond our means. Our entire budget in a year is about 250 million US, all of which is committed. So for us to raise 200 million US dollars, as an example, assuming it's as low as 200 million US dollars to rebuild Barbuda, that is beyond our domestic requirements, our domestic capabilities. So we have to look external of Antigua and Barbuda to raise resources, and that is why I'm issuing this clarion call for assistance by other governments.
IMF representatives have said that instead of pardoning Antigua and Barbuda's debt, they will extend more loans to your government. What do you think about it?
That doesn't help. It exacerbates the problem, because the irony about it is that we have to borrow consistently with each storm that would have damaged our infrastructure. So it's a vicious cycle. It increases our debt, so we end up with a debt overhang. And the same IMF criticizes us for having too large a debt, when what we're doing here is that we are literally forced to borrow at commercial rates in order to rebuild our infrastructure. So if it is that they are that concerned, then perhaps they need to have a carve-out for small island developing states where they have this type of devastation, that they can get some form of debt relief. But we know that will fall in deaf ears, so I'm not even sure that is a fight worth fighting at this point, because from time immemorial, the argument has been made by many governments within the region, many small island states, that there has to be more responsiveness coming from the IMF, from the World Bank, and other international financial institutions to have this carve out for small island developing states, considering their vulnerability. So whereas they try to utilize the sole criterion of per capita income, we have made a point that they have to consider the vulnerability of these countries and to carve out a space for some level of assistance, and they should not see it as these countries are asking for handouts. These are just realities that exist today, and at the end of the day we have a common humanity. And when I look at Venezuela as a country, notwithstanding your difficulties, it is amazing how Venezuela continues to find assistance to support other countries. I recognize just recently with the disaster in Texas, that your government committed $5 million US, and you have your own problems in Venezuela. And that is a form of commitment that is perhaps unprecedented based on the level of you know, economic problems that you have within Venezuela. But it is also demonstrative of significant commitment to human development and cooperation.
So, Prime Minister, you went to Barbuda as soon as the hurricane was over. What did you see there, and what did you hear from Barbudans there?
Well, first of all, as I flew over, for me, it was a most horrendous experience, emotionally painful, and that I could not have believed that Barbuda was destroyed in that way. I mean, the devastation was just so vast that it was unbelievable. I mean, surreal. So, first of all, it was shocking. By the time I landed, I recognized that there are hundreds of desperate people, hopeless individuals, waiting on a prime minister for some level of hope. And I had no choice but to address them and to say to them that, look, you know, Antiguans will stand by them, that the government will stand by them, ask them to remain hopeful, and obviously to be assured that the government will do all in its power to bring some relief to them, and at the same time to raise resources for the rebuilding initiative. So, you know, we were over pretty quickly. In fact, if I could have gone soon, I would have, but the operator of the chopper said that we could not have gone any sooner, because I was trying to literally go as early as about 8 o'clock in the morning, but the winds were so strong that we had to wait for the winds to subside. Because I have to tell you, man, I felt almost haunted by the fact that we did not know what was happening in Barbuda. There was absolutely no communication. At that time, I was not speculating for the worst. I just thought that there may have been significant damage to the telecommunications infrastructure, not recognizing that an entire country was wiped out. So for me, having experienced that in the air and then on the ground was just a most horrendous experience.
Thank you very much for this interview, Prime Minister.
Thank you. An absolute pleasure. Thank you.